So we've been looking at ionic and covalent bonding, AQA C2. So now we're going to look at doing some questions. I hope you've seen the other videos, do some questions and just check you understand it. So again, turn the camera off and we're going to look in at some questions here. So I'm going to read through the questions, go through them with you, and by the end you will understand, honestly. Okay, so what are the three types of strong chemical bond? Okay, so we've looked at ionic, so you know ionic. You know covalent, and we are going to look at another sort called metallic. Okay, but we'll do that. We'll focus on that another time. So at the moment we're focusing on these two. Okay, so what particles are found in ionic bonding? Okay, think back. How did I tell you I knew you would know if it's ionic bonding? It's because it's got a metal in. So you have metals joined to non-metals. The metal transfers its outside shell electron or electrons to the non-metal. Okay, when you transfer electrons, what's left behind is a positive ion, and what gains the electron is a negative ion. Okay, so it's metal and non-metal ions. Covalent bonding, okay, is only ever non-metals. Okay, if it's got a metal in, it's ionic. If it's not got a metal in, it's covalent. Metallic bonding, have a guess, it's to do with metals, but we'll dig into that a bit more. So number three, which types of bonds occur when metals combine with non-metals? It's ionic. Okay, ionic. So carbon dioxide, let's have a look. CO2, what type of bonding is in CO2? Right, can you see a metal there? Carbon, no. If you're looking in the periodic table, it's on the right hand side. Oxygen, no, it's not a metal. So is it ionic or covalent? Has it got a metal? No, it's covalent. Okay, it's covalent. I'm going to cross that out because we haven't done metallic bonding yet. Okay, happy so far? Okay, so let's have a little look at the next question. What happens to the electrons in ionic bonding? Okay, so what happens to the electrons in ionic bonding? Okay, remember ionic bonding is transfer of electrons. So the electron will go, let's do a little simple example. Here's my electron, it's a group 1 metal. Here's the outside shell of a group 7 element. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look, 7 electrons. So that one will be transferred over to here. Okay, that's lost a negative electron, so it becomes positive. That's gained a negative electron, so it becomes negative, and those things now are called ions. And because they're opposite charges, opposites attract, they stick together, we call that an ionic bond. Okay, if you're not sure on that, watch the other video again. Right, number 7. What electronic structure do the ions produced by metals in group 1, 2, and the non-metals in group 6 and 7 have? It sounds like a really hard question, doesn't it? But let's think, what's group 1 like? Why is it in group 1? Oh, it's got 1 electron in the outside shell. So let's draw the electronic structure for something in group 1. Let's say it might have 2 electrons in the first shell, might have 8 electrons in the next shell. How many electrons is it going to have in its outside shell? It's in group 1, it's going to have 1. Okay, and then when it bonds with something, it will lose that 1 electron. Off it will go, just like up here. Group 2, what would the electronic structure of something, could the electronic structure of something in group 2 be? Well, let's have 2 electrons in the first shell, might have 8 in the next. How many is it going to have in the next? Well, it could be 8. If it's not 8, it's going to be 2, it's in group 2. Okay, and it's the same for group 6 and 7. It's got group 6 will have 6 electrons in the outside shell, group 7 would have 7 electrons. Okay, so group 7 you might have 2 in the first shell, 7 in the next shell, or 2 in the first shell, 8 in the next shell, 7 in the outside shell. That's all electronic structure means, it's the number of electrons. Okay. What is the link between the charge number on the ions in groups 1, 2, 3 and their group number? Okay, look, this thing here was in group 1. It's got 1 electron in its outside shell. It loses that 1 electron, so it's lost a negative charge, so overall now it's +1. Something in group 2 would lose 2 electrons and it would become +2. Something in group 3 would lose 3 electrons and it would become +3. Okay, I hope that makes sense. It's to do with the number of electrons that are lost. Right, an ionic compound would be a compound that's joined by ionic bonding. like sodium chloride for the sake of example. And how are ionic compounds held together is because of the electrostatic force between the positives and the negative ions. Okay, let's have a little look just to make sure we've done that right. I'm going to zoom out and we're just going to look through some answers now just to make sure that I haven't told you anything that's wrong. Okay, so what are the three types of bond? Look, you've got your ionic, your covalent, and your metallic, which we haven't done yet. Okay, ionic bonds, oppositely charged ions, pluses and minuses. Covalent bonding, sharing electrons. Okay, and metallic bonding, just forget for a second. Okay, so metals and non-metals is ionic. Carbon dioxide, look, two non-metals is covalent. Yeah, that's what we said, wasn't it? Right, good. Okay, and then last little page. So what happens to the electrons in ionic bonding? They're transferred, they swap from one atom to the next, and where they swap and they lose an electron or gain an electron, they're not called atoms anymore, we call them ions. Okay, they've done an expected answer here. So what electronic structure do the ions produce in group 1 and so on when they make an ion? They produce the electronic structure of a noble gas. What that means is they have a full outside shell. So again, let's draw it out on the side here. Here's my nucleus. I'm going to draw the first shell just to make a change, just to make it, you can see what I mean. Right, here's my first shell. It's got 2 electrons in. Let's say it is the first shell with 2 electrons in. Next one, 1 electron. This is something from group 1. So when we get rid of that outside shell electron, let's get rid of it, let's transfer it to a non-metal, what we would have left is this. We just have that first shell. Okay, look, we've got just that bit, yeah? That's what that is. Okay, and that, as it's got a full outside shell, that's the same structure of electrons as something in group 0 or group 8 as we used to call it, when we call them the noble gases, the one right on the right hand side of the periodic table. Okay, so the charge number, what's the link between the charge number and the charge on the ion? It's the same as the group number. What do we mean here? Look, this thing here, this one here, what I've just drawn, it's got 1 electron in its outside shell. It's from group 1 because it's got 1 electron in its outside shell. It loses that 1 electron. It's just giving it away. Ka-ching, gives it away. So that is given away a negative electron. So what's left would have a +1 charge on it. Okay, group 2 would give away 2 electrons. It'd end up with a +2 charge. Group 3 would give away 3 electrons, have a +3 charge. Okay, what's an ionic compound? Compound made of ions, ionic bonding. And how are ionic compounds held together? It's this electrostatic forces. When you've got a plus ion and a minus ion, that force between them is a non-contact force. Think about your physics, non-contact force. We call that an electrostatic force. Okay, right, well done.